Welcome to Podkey Left and Right, where technology, power, and everyday consequences get a fair hearing. AI promises enormous gains in medicine and productivity. Its physical footprint, its effect on children, and its costs to workers all land somewhere specific. Usually in a classroom, a household, a town water system, or a monthly utility bill. The upside case for AI has real substance. A Dallas Federal Reserve discussion, citing Goldman Sachs, put possible annual U.S. productivity gains over the next decade between 0.3 and 3 percentage points, with a 1.5-point median estimate. That could mean faster scientific research, better medical tools, smoother supply chains, and less drudgery across a lot of work. Forecasts remain forecasts, though. Productivity gains depend on deployment, complementary investment, and whether institutions actually share the gains. The displacement problem deserves equal seriousness. A paralegal whose core research and drafting tasks vanish quickly may not have time for a conventional retraining pipeline to work. The proposal for an AI displacement fund, modeled loosely on disaster assistance, reflects that timing problem. Liability for unsafe systems, income support, and retraining offer a more workable middle path than either a blanket development pause or a promise that markets will absorb every shock. The hard question is who pays: the firms receiving the productivity windfall, taxpayers broadly, or workers while they wait. There is also a cognitive cost. Students can use AI to produce research, synthesis, and polished prose before they have built the memory and reasoning those tasks are meant to develop. Schools may need more oral work, supervised drafting, and assignments where judgment is visible. AI's infrastructure turns that abstract debate into a local one. The build-out is described as roughly 4,800 existing US data centers, 809 under construction, and thousands more projected. Those estimates deserve scrutiny, yet the direction of travel is unmistakable. Communities are raising concrete objections: electricity demand, water use for cooling, persistent noise, land, tax breaks, and relatively limited permanent employment after construction ends. Claims of 12 to 14% power price increases will vary greatly by grid and project, so they should never be treated as a universal forecast. Supporters can point to Quincy, Washington, where 3 facilities reportedly expanded the tax base by 56% and helped fund a school, sewer upgrades, parks, and water facilities. That is a meaningful local success story. It also proves the value of a negotiated bargain rather than automatic approval. A serious permit process would require transparent electricity costs, water accounting, environmental safeguards, tax terms, enforceable community benefits, and local consent. National security language may explain why computing capacity matters. It does not erase a town's right to know what it is giving up. The case for separating productive technology from engagement maximizing social media is stronger than the claim that every screen does the same damage. Notifications, autoplay, endless scrolling, and recommendation systems are designed to hold attention. A math tool or an AI research assistant serves a different function. Proposals such as phone-free schools and lunches, devices outside bedrooms, overnight limits, and a higher social media age aim at the environment around kids rather than asking children to out-discipline products built to defeat self-control. Enforcement remains the weak link. Age assurance, parental controls, and platform limits are easy to evade when devices and accounts are everywhere. The frequently cited NIH-backed study of 11,000 children found associations between very high screen time and adverse outcomes. Association alone cannot settle causation. Children already struggling may also use more screens. The scale of exposure still makes precaution reasonable, especially when sleep, face-to-face time, and school attention are directly displaced. Leonard Sax's argument about boys begins with a similarly important observation. Male disengagement can start in elementary school, long before adult choices about work or family. Women now make up about 60% of 4-year college enrollment, compared with 40% for men. His remedies: more recess, movement-friendly classrooms, play-based early education, later kindergarten entry for some children, and discipline that distinguishes disruption from pathology are testable institutional changes. They are more actionable than sweeping claims about a single lost definition of manhood. Mentors, coaches, teachers, clergy, and structured rites of passage may help boys find responsibility and belonging. Gaming, pornography, absent role models, sleep loss, depression, dyslexia, and school alienation can overlap. A one-cause story will miss children who need different kinds of help. That caution matters in ADHD and mental health. SACS cites a rise from about 1% of American children diagnosed with ADHD in 1979 to 23% of 17-year-old boys today. Changes in diagnosis, awareness, access, and measurement complicate any simple interpretation of that increase. Inattention can reflect ADHD. It can also reflect poor sleep, trauma, depression, dyslexia, hidden nighttime gaming, or a hostile school environment. A stimulant response cannot by itself establish a diagnosis because improved focus is not unique to one condition. The Lindsay Clancy case shows why mental illness and legal responsibility require separate questions. The legal issue is whether postpartum psychosis, bipolar disorder, depression, medication effects, or hallucinations prevented her from understanding wrongfulness or controlling her conduct. Defense experts described command hallucinations, severe insomnia, delusions, repeated help-seeking, and fragmented treatment. Prosecutors emphasized evidence they interpret as planning, sending her husband farther away, internet searches, crushing pills, a coherent phone call, and actions after the killings. Those facts can support competing inferences. Jurors must assess credibility and legal standards rather than simply choose the most emotionally powerful story. The wider policy lesson is clearer. Serious psychiatric treatment needs coordination. Telehealth prescribers, emergency clinicians, and other providers can each see part of a patient while nobody owns the full medication history, diagnosis, side effects, blood work, and follow-up plan. Government systems can fail people through complexity as surely as healthcare systems can. Michigan's former DHS 1171 application reportedly ran about 18,000 words and 1,000 questions. A Utah mother was reportedly removed from benefits more than 120 times over paperwork problems. Administrative burdens function as a time tax. Forms, recertifications, unreliable internet, office visits, and sanctions consume the bandwidth people need for work and caregiving. Medicaid work requirements may sound like employment policy, yet evidence cited in these discussions suggests paperwork often causes eligible people to lose coverage without increasing work. The pandemic child tax credit offers a useful comparison. It reached about 80% of intended families and reportedly cut child poverty in half, partly because the IRS required little action. Automatic, simple administration changes outcomes. The same demand for proof should govern immigration, trade, and national security arguments. Claims about undocumented population totals ranging from roughly 15 million to more than 100 million cannot carry equal weight when the larger figure lacks independent verification. Big policy choices need transparent baselines. Tariffs also involve a visible trade-off. They may protect selected industries and create leverage, while broad tariffs raise costs, disrupt supply chains, invite retaliation, and can alienate allies. China's industrial scale in EVs, batteries, solar equipment, machinery, and AI creates a strategic challenge. Slogans about free trade or protectionism leave out the design work. The future gets more credible when its benefits, costs, and safeguards are all put on the same ledger. Thanks for listening to Podkey Left and Right. This episode was generated by Podkey. Create your own at podkey.fm.